Hello everyone. We're going to go over today what's new on TRBOnet Plus 5.1. I'm Jim Slagle. I'm the North America Sales Manager for Neocom. A lot of people know us as TRBOnet, but Neocom is actually the name of the company, and TRBOnet's our trademark product. So first, wanted to tell you that TRBOnet Plus is sold and supported by Motorola. So how can TRBOnet help you? How can I help you? Well, if you have any questions, feel free to call me and we can discuss projects or anything. I can do webinars for you and your sales team to demonstrate the product in real time. And I can also do webinars for the end user of our software. And what I do, if it's a casino, I kind of will tailor that towards a casino, or if it's the railroad, I'll tailor it towards the railroad. So there's a lot of different ways to do a presentation. I can also help you get a permanent dealer demo of TRBOnet Plus from Motorola, and I can assist you with that. That way you can have it in your shop and you can use it and you can demonstrate it and play with it, and because I want you to become the expert with our software because it'll help you sell it. And I can also help you get set up with a 60-day trial license of TRBOnet Plus for the end user to try for 60 days, and I tell you that's the best way to sell it. If they try it, they'll like it, they'll buy it. So some of the features of what you get with TRBOnet Plus, just quickly to go over, you have in the core package, what you get with the core package of TRBOnet Plus from Motorola, you get voice dispatch, fleet management, event logging, alarm and lone worker, text message and email, job ticketing, which is not available on all systems. Job ticketing is not available on Connect Plus or Capacity Max this release. It's coming in the future. We also have telemetry. And then the optional part, you can get the location tracking with your GPS, you can get voice recording, system bridging. You still have the cross patch that you get with the core, but if you want to do a bridge on a systems level, that's an option. And you can get the RF coverage map, your phone interconnect, so you can bring in an outside line into your dispatch, and that can actually be transferred to a radio or a radio group. We have a web data client, so you can log in from anywhere and log into your system and see what's going on. It's not a dispatch position, but you can log in and see what's going on with your system. And the indoor positioning and enhanced alarm management. And just quickly, the key features of TRBOnet Plus that make it so great, it's an IP-based solution. We have the AMBE vocoder, so you don't need a vocoder. It's modular based, so you can kind of build like what you need now, and as a budget comes available, if you want to add stuff to it, so you get the dispatching in the beginning and then they want to add the GPS positioning, you can add things to it. And it's also scalable. The way we sell our product, if you have a smaller account, it's going to cost less, of course, than if you have a large account, and we can grow from a very small account to as big as you want. We have some really small accounts and we have some incredibly huge accounts. So we're scalable that way, and you're not going to lose anything. We work on all MotoTurbo systems. We have a direct IP interface, or if you need to use a control station in some instances, we can do that. It's a very intuitive, configurable user interface, so each dispatcher can set up the screen like they want them, and we even have some new features in that with 5.1 that make it even more configurable. We have the remote administration, so the administrator of the account can actually log in from home. If somebody's having a problem, they can log in from home and change things and configure things the way they need to. And we can also do custom development. So if you have an account that needs a certain thing developed for that account, especially if it's a really large account, we can do some customer development. And we also have third-party software integration, so we can actually write codes and things to integrate with other software and other things to that you can bring into your TRBOnet console. So one of the new features for the Capacity Max 2.7 is radio kill. You can actually kill the radio. It can only be done by the administrator, but you kill the radio and it's a brick. It has to be taken by a Motorola service shop or Schaumburg to take that out of being a brick. So that's a really cool feature in case you have a radio that gets stolen or is missing. Another thing is the status messages. So you can have up to 250 status messages that are very short commands, and they're sent over a control channel. So this can be used over the request to talk, also alarm management and user activity. So that's a new feature for the Capacity Max only. We also have sign in, sign out, and this is part of your core package, and it works on any of the MotoTurbo systems, but you can actually have a radio. If you have a group of radios that are shared by users or a fleet of vehicles that they have a different user driving the vehicle every day, you can actually have them have to sign in the radio, so they'll get a PIN number, and the radio won't work until they put in their PIN, and then as soon as they put in their PIN, it'll come up to the dispatcher as, you know, Mike Butcher or whatever the person's name is. So the dispatcher's not curious, like, I wonder who has radio 501 today, or who, you know, it's very easy to keep up with who has who. And with the forced sign-in, which is the new feature, they have to sign in when they get the radio or it simply won't work. And it's also handy if a lot of times when you're pulling radios together, these radios come up missing or they get broken, so you can see the last person that had that radio before it went missing or got broke, and it's easier to track who's responsible for things. So the sign in, sign out's a great feature for when you're sharing radios in a pool of radios. We also have a redundancy update. So for Capacity Max, you know, redundancy is very important with Capacity Max. So we support all the infrastructure components can be redundant. So it can be the server, the data gateway, the VRC, trunking controller, the Swift agent, anything. And we support, it can be like a single server on failover cluster, so you can have the one single server and several else, you know, several others in the row that can take over in case one fails. You can have the any number plus one redundancy, of course, and then you can have a multi-server installation, so you can actually have the license installed on a couple servers, and if one goes down, it'll automatically switch to the other one. Another new feature is our request to talk. This is a really great feature because sometimes the dispatcher might be busy, and if somebody wants to talk to the dispatcher, if they call and they don't get an answer, they can you can pre-program a button on the radio, and they can just push that one button and it'll send the dispatcher a request to talk. So the dispatcher realizes, okay, I want to talk to this person at some point, and the dispatcher can do the same thing. So you can actually as a dispatcher, you can send a code to the radio, and it lets the radio know when they get a chance to call the dispatcher. So these are really great, and you can put them in order. You can stack them, put them in a queue, so in case you have several people that will want to talk to you, you can put them in a queue and answer who needs you the most or whatever. It's up to you, and you can do the same thing if you answer the phones through your dispatch position and you miss a call, you can actually have that automatically go to a request to call back that number. So the request to talk is a very, very great feature, and it makes the life easier of the dispatcher as well as any of the users, because they don't have to talk to that person right now. They can say, okay, I need to talk to the dispatcher at some point. I'm just going to put in a request, and when they have a free minute, they can call me. Now, we've always had alarm management, and so before I go into the new feature of alarm management, just to give a quick summary of what we do. With alarm management, what it is you can have an event or an alarm create another happening. So, for instance, we have the control panel over here on the left side of the screen. Down below, you see the purple control panel. Let's say that's a fire panel. So if a fire goes off, that sends an alarm to that panel. It alarms that panel. Well, you can hook up to that panel with our software, and you can have that alarm going off trigger anything else. It can send a text message to phones. It can send a job ticket to a radio. It can send a pre-recorded message to 911. So any of these things one event can trigger another. We have some people that do it for, they want the radio to be able to open a door when they drive in the gate, so they actually have the geofence set up with the alarm management. When they get in this geofence, it'll automatically open a gate. So a lot of great things you can do with the alarm management. So now the new feature is we work with the mode bus now. So this is really great. So what it does for you is you can actually, let's say you have a warehouse, and you have motion detectors in this warehouse. You have sensors on the door, so if the door opens, you know, it triggers that sensor. You have window sensors, so if somebody opens a window, it'll trigger the detectors, you know, the sensors. You can have that actually send through our software. It can go and send a message to the radio, so it can send a message to the owner of the warehouse saying, hey, somebody's in your warehouse. It can, again, with the alarm management, you could have it play a pre-recorded phone call and call 911 and say, you know, please report to the warehouse, there is a potential break-in. So a lot of good things you can do with this alarm management. And just something really kind of interesting about it, because it goes over an IP, you could actually have this set up in one state and get the alarm on another state or even another country. You could, if you owned a warehouse in China, you could have it alert you in Ohio that your warehouse got broken into. It's just pretty amazing what you can do with this Modbus. Now we have indoor positioning. This is we have some new features with it, but just to give you an idea, with the indoor positioning, you set up your map. Like I downloaded this Mall of America map right off the internet. So you can see that it's a floor plan of the Mall of America, and then I physically put these sensors wherever I have the iBeacons, I place them. So if I go place an iBeacon in front of Macy's there, then I would actually go and put my beacon on the map there and label it, you know, Macy's or whatever. And then as the person goes around, we're reading the radio, and the radio is reading the beacon. So we can see where the radio is at all times, because you have it maybe poll every 10 seconds, and it'll show as they go around the mall. And if you're distracted by these beacons, you can filter them out. You can take off the beacons and you can only see the radio. We did a prison that they weren't allowed to track, by the union rules, they weren't allowed to track anybody in that prison unless there was an emergency. So you can take everything off. So you just have a blank screen, but if somebody declares an emergency, it'll pop up, and I'll even show you what that looks like in a second. It'll pop up and show you, boom, there's an emergency, and it'll show you where that person is. So, and that's my next screen, is it pops up in a separate window. That's another great thing, and the new feature we have is where you can make it pop up in a whole separate window. So I'm on my, you can't really tell exactly, but I'm on my dispatch screen right here. So if that pop-up wasn't there, you would see all my radios and everything, my talk groups. But because I have it set up this way, configured, when an emergency happens, whether it's indoors, outdoors, whatever, it pops it up and shows me exactly where that emergency is happening, and I see exactly what's going on. So I can then send resources to help that person, call that person, whatever the need may be. We also have guard tour. So let's say you have you have a night watchman, and you want to make sure that they're making their rounds like they're supposed to. So you can actually set up a guard tour. And what this does is you make rules. You say, okay, I want him to be at this iBeacon, maybe it's, you know, named Macy's. I want him to be there at 8:15 p.m. And you say you make the rules. So you say, I'm going to give him a 5-minute window on either side. So if he's within 5 minutes of 8:15, I'm okay. And if he's more than that, then you can have it do anything you want. If you want that to alert his boss, you can have it send a text message to his boss. You can have it alert a dispatcher if you have a dispatcher on duty at home. But a lot of times in the middle of the night, there's not going to be anybody else. So maybe you don't need to know that. You're just going to go in the next day and you're going to look. And what you do is you see the tour right here. You can see that, okay, on this one, maybe he was supposed to be there at 7:40. He got there at 7:41, so that's good. It's green. And then they were supposed to be at this one at 7:45, and it's green, so that's good. So you can see if they hit all their marks they're supposed to hit. So you can have it alert you if you want. If you want to send out the cavalry, whatever you want to do, you can do that. Or maybe you just want to check the next day and make sure that you know, Joe wasn't sleeping on the job or something, you know, and so you can check that. And you can also do it to where there's not a strict schedule. You can say, okay, I don't really care if he goes and hits all these spots at certain times. I just want to make sure he goes around the whole mall throughout the night or whatever, and you could do that as well. And so there's not a time limit, but you can make sure he hit all the spots he or she was supposed to. So you would see, okay, they hit that one, and you would see what time they hit it, but they wouldn't get penalized if they were at any time, because there's no time limit. But if they missed one of their stops, then it would be red. So it's a very, very cool thing you can do, and you can make sure our software just is, there's tons of ways of holding people accountable and making sure they're doing their job. So the guard tour is a great feature. We also have some new filters, and so I'll just run across all of them real quick. But if you look up here, this is our star. This is where you can save places on a map. Like when I do my demo, I actually have Dallas, Texas saved, I have Phoenix, Arizona, and I have Montreal, Canada. So if I wanted to go to one of those places, I can save it. I can just click the star, it'll pull up all my favorites, and I have as many as I want, and I hit that. So for your customer, it might not be different states, maybe it's different counties or different parts of the state, whatever. They can save it and they can go to it and see what's going on at any given time. And beside that is the home screen. So with your home screen, you set a view that you want of your home screen, whether it be the area that you concentrate on the most, or just wherever you want to kind of have as a starting point. When you're starting, or at any point you want to go back there, you can just click the home screen and it'll pop up right exactly where your home screen is that you programmed in, and so you'll always know how to get back home quickly. And then we have our filters. These are all really cool. So with these filters right here, as you see the yellow, the green, the blue, and the gray. All these mean something. The yellow is the indoor tracking. The green is radio on and has a lock on the GPS. Blue means the radio's on, no GPS lock, and then gray means the radio's off. So if I wanted to filter any of those radios out, like I don't want to see the off radios. If I have 100 radios and 50 of them at any given time are off, I don't really need to see those. So I can just take them off the map, and I don't know they're there, but as soon as they get in their truck and start it and the radio goes on, boom, I know that they're active again. So you can also filter out anybody else. Like if you only want to see people that have a GPS lock, you can filter everybody but that. And you can filter out everybody. You can say, I only want to know if there's an emergency. Otherwise, I don't even care. You can filter out everybody, and they'll only come up because they're still there and we're still tracking them. You're just not seeing them. So if they have an emergency, though, they're going to pop up on that screen in the separate window you saw before, and you'll be happy. And then with these are the beacons for the indoor tracking. As I said before, you can do the same thing. You can see just the radios. You can see the radios and the beacons. You can see just the beacons unless there's an emergency, or you can see nothing unless there's an emergency. The next tab here is our ruler. Now this is really great because with this ruler I can actually touch. If somebody says, how far is it from High Point to Asheville, where Chuck Norris is right now, I can actually click on the map, and I can every time I click the right click on the mouse, or left click on the mouse, I'm sorry, it'll put a little waypoint, and so I could actually go down a road and see how far it is approximately in miles or kilometers from one place to another. So this comes in very handy when somebody, if you need to get somebody from point A to point B and you're kind of wanting to figure out about how far it is and how long it'll take them, this is a good way to be able to do that. And then we have our find on the map. This is a great feature. If you need to dispatch somebody to an address, you can click on there and type in the address. You'll see exactly where that address is. You can also search for things. You don't have to have the address. You can. I type in on my demos all the time JFK, and then hit search, and boom, it pulls up a choice of JFK Airport. I click on that, and then boom, it takes me right to JFK Airport, and there's a pin in it. So I know that location is now pinned, and if I want to take out the pin, I just push that again, and the pin goes away. Then you see our drawing panel. This is what you'll use to create your geofences. We have several different geofences, and that's where that you can use that. And this is our route playback, and this works for indoor tracking or outdoor tracking. So if you see down here on the bottom, the route, you can do a route playback by step. Like you can say, okay, play it back in the way it happened last night. I want to see where my person went inside the mall, or where did my truck driver drive around during the day. You can do a route playback, and it'll hit every time it was polled. It'll show up and it'll ding, 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 go across the map. Or if you just want to see the route, you can say, show me the route, and it'll pop up the whole route where they were for any specified time period. If you want to do it for a day, an hour, for 6 weeks, whatever you want to do, you can do it. And this is just another place you can make rules with geofencing if you want to make a rule or change a rule with a geofence you have. And then we have our coverage map. This is the RSSI coverage map. So this is really great if you want to know how strong your signal is or how weak your signal is. You can do an RSSI coverage map and see where you need maybe to add a repeater or whatever. So this is a great feature. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Connect Plus, but it's supported by all other MotoTurbo systems. But very great feature. We also have Google Street View. This is cool, and this actually is right outside of my house. I work from home when I'm not traveling, and you can see the road I live on. In fact, this is my car. They actually must have done this since I've lived here, because that's my car right there, the front end of the white car, and I live on Reese Boulevard, but it pops up the street view from wherever the radio is. So you can see where, you can pop it up and look at Google Street View and see where they are at any given time if you want a view of the street. So if they call you and say, hey, I'm here on the spot and there's no house here, you can, boom, pop up Google Street View and you can look and see what they're seeing. So very cool feature. People love that feature. I love that feature. So some of the other new features we have custom icons for subscribers. So what's great about this is we used to be pretty flexible. If somebody said, I need an icon of a ship, we'd say, okay, we'll make you one, and we'll release it in the next version. There's a ship. But now you can actually put, like if I wanted to put a picture of my radio subscriber, I could put a picture of that. So when they come up, when you see them on the map, you're going to see their picture instead of, like a man or a fireman or a plus. So you can do your own icon. Very cool feature. And with the phone interconnect update, we've always been able to monitor radios. We've always been able to do what we call remote monitoring. So if I have a radio that maybe I want to know what's going on because I've tried to contact them and maybe they're in trouble, I can listen to that radio and nothing happens to the radio. It opens up the microphone and I can hear what's going on, but the radio doesn't light up or anything. So I can listen to the conversation rather in case somebody's in trouble. And what's great about that is this is all recorded. Everything was recorded that's on our system. So if you're worried about somebody abusing that, you can actually go back and run a report and say, okay, I want to know all the remote monitoring that's happened last week to make sure people aren't abusing that privilege of being able to do that, because it's really just for emergencies. But if you're the owner of the company and you want to do it, that's their business. They own the radios and they own the system. So now you can do remote monitoring from a mobile phone. So you can actually log in and listen to the conversation with a mobile phone, or you can log in from your mobile phone and listen to a conversation in a talk group. So if you want to hear what people are talking about in maintenance, you can just log on and sit there and listen to the conversation. So it's a little bit of a spy thing, and it's an option. You don't have to do it, but if you want that ability, or if somebody wants that ability, especially the person writing the check that you're talking to, they might want that ability. So that's up to them. We also support the web map tile service, so you can actually layer maps. And what we did here is just simply we layered map over the OpenStreetMap of the U.S. We overlaid a map that just has the two letter code for each state, but you could do anything. This is great for oil companies. You know, they want to have a satellite image of their place, but then they want to overlay, you know, the hot spots where the oil is or whatever. So they can overlay your stuff and say, okay, here's where the hot spots. Or if it's somebody's changing the landscape of you know, excavators and stuff, they're constantly changing the landscape. They can overlay where their next dig site is or something. So you can have your map, and with maps, you know, we support any map. We can use anything you want. You can use an offline map. We use OpenStreetMaps because they're free and they're incredibly detailed. You can use Google. You can use anybody else. Keep in mind, some of them aren't free. If you want to purchase one, that's between you and Google or your end user and whoever they want. It's not anything you have to worry about. And we also support the GSM AT modem to SMS. So what that means is I can actually send an SMS to a mobile phone from my console. That's huge. That is really, really great. So if I want to send a message to a mobile phone, I can sit there and say, hey Bob, when you get a chance, give me a call. I can send that message out via SMS to one or multiple phones. Very, very cool feature. So we've also added where you can have multiple audio devices. So if you want to have, like maybe you have your console and you want to have emergency calls go to a speaker on the wall so everybody in the room can know that there's an emergency. Maybe you have a large room with 5 dispatchers. Each one has their own separate thing they do, but if an emergency happens, you want everybody to be aware. You can put that on a very large speaker and all that audio will go out, or maybe just the alert that there's an emergency will go out, and you know, they know something's going on. And you can also have maybe phone calls go to your headset, and you know, your maintenance calls go to a speaker over to your left, and your security calls come from a speaker on your right. You can even set up on your headset, like on the right ear I want phone calls, and on the left ear I want radio calls. You can configure this any way you want. So this new way of doing the multiple audio devices, though, is even more enhanced than it's ever been. So we also have radio gateways you can use with TRBOnet Plus. Now keep in mind, these are available through Neocom only. It's kind of an addition you can do in case you need a gateway. So there's certain situations you'll need a gateway. If you're switching from analog to digital and you have an analog repeater and they need to keep that analog repeater going until they get all their radios. Maybe they have 50 radios and they can't afford to buy 50 radios all in 1 month. You can slowly migrate them and put them on a plan and say, okay, we're going to buy you 3 radios a month, and as you get those radios, we'll migrate you slowly, but we're going to make a bridge in the meantime so the analog radios can talk to the digital radios and they can still communicate with each other. So you can also have it if you have like a large college campus and maybe they have a beautiful Capacity Plus system, or they get the brand new Capacity Max, and they have one maintenance is out in the back and they have a repeater there and it's analog and they got 10 analog radios and they're just not putting any money into maintenance. You could actually bring that into your console with a control station, which you'll need a gateway, which is what you see here. We have the rack mount or the 2 desktop models, and you can bring that analog channel into your console in case you just want it. Even if you're not going to cross patch or anything, you can still bring it in. But if you ever did want to cross patch, it's very easy. It's a drag and drop, very easy to do a cross patch. So, and again, this just demonstrates exactly what I just said. You're bringing a analog radio into your digital world, basically. So you can see how that works, and if you wanted to cross patch, then boom, they can talk to each other. Very easy. So it's really, really great for migration. We also have a new mic connector. I went over this before, but just to hit on it, it's a really great feature because all the dealers out there, I go to you dealers and I see all these microphones all over your shop. Y'all have tons of them all over the place. So sell your own product. It's just a way of getting more money for your shops. But you can use this mic connector, and it provides high quality audio from the dispatcher to radios. It's got a built-in audio card, and your voice goes to the PC via a USB cable, so there's no static noise. And this is sold and supported by Neocom as well. But and you're also selling your own microphones and everything, and everybody knows that the Motorola microphones are the best microphones, so why not use them? Sell your own product, sell Motorola. It's a good thing. So I appreciate everybody's time. If you ever need me, I'm Jim Slagle. Motorola knows how to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help you any way I can. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this. Have a great day.